Hi guys. Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. You know why you're here, I know why you're here. Let's do it. Before we pull a reward and get into the rolls, let me tell you really quickly what I read for the month of February. For roll number 1, I got a purple flower, which means I read a fantasy novel, and I read Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. So good. For roll number 2, I got a TBR card, and I had to read a book that was published in either January, February, or March. So I read the 5th volume of the Adventure Zone graphic novel series. For roll number 3, I got a succulent, which means horror, and I read this short story collection, Curse Bunny by Bora Chung. For roll number 4, I got a science fiction prompt, so I read On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. For roll number 5, I got a red flower, which means romance, my favorite, and I read Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert. And last but not least, for my last roll, which is always a TBR card, I had to read a book with a rural setting, so I read Into the Riverlands by Nevo. So those are all the books that I read in February. I read all of them, I'm done, so let's pull a reward. Okay, so I get to move 6D spaces once. I keep saying this, it's supposed to be a D6. I know, I'm aware. Basically, if I am not moving fast enough or I land on a prompt that, I'm just not into, then I can roll a D6 once, move those spaces ahead, and then just have a little extra to make the game a little interesting. So with that all said, let's go to the rolls.
This is roll number 1. And that's a 1.
What a way to start. Okay, so first roll, we moved one space and I got a red flower, which means I have to read a romance novel. So I'm going to read A Soul to Touch by Opal Rain. I don't know. This is the 3rd book in a Kindle Unlimited monster romance series that I'm very excited for. These books take place in a fantastical world where humans kind of live up on the upper level of the world, and then below there are demons and other nasty creatures. In this demon realm, there are these things called dust walkers, and they are other. They're not demonic, they're just kind of their own thing, and they are trying to navigate their lives and try to, fall in love. This particular book is about a dust walker that we met in the previous book, and I think he's kind of going on a journey, and as you can tell by the title, he meets a woman, they fall in love. This is definitely a romance. I thoroughly enjoyed the second one. It is personally my favorite of the series, and I'm very excited to keep going. This should be really good. Hopefully we get a bigger number.
This is roll number 2. And that's an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We get to pull a TBR card. And we're going to read a TBR veteran.
Okay, bigger number, awesome. I got a TBR card and I have to read a TBR veteran. Before we get into it, yes, I did decorate my cards. I hope you guys like them. I really like how they turned out. The way that I'm defining this prompt personally is I have to have had this on my radar for at least over a year. I think something sitting on your TBR for like over a year, I think that constitutes as a TBR veteran, in my humble opinion. I am going to read the 7th volume of Lumberjanes. I prefer to read my graphic novels and comic books in a physical form. That's the easiest way for me to read them. And I recently looked it up on my library catalog where I'm living now, and it was available. So I'm going to definitely read this. This has been on my TBR for so long. I would genuinely like to finish the series. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it this year, but this is a goal that I'm working towards because these books are genuinely really awesome. The way I would pitch this graphic novel series to you is, have you ever wanted to read a book about a bunch of Girl Scouts who also fight mythical creatures? That's what this book is. I will be reading the 7th volume of Lumberjanes. This is my TBR vet. Let's go on to the next roll.
This is roll number 3. And that's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Greenery.
I have a little confession to make. I have multiple drafts of chapters sitting on my laptop right now of different romance novels that I'm interested in writing. And so I kind of hit a wall with my writing at this point. And so I was like, I would like a kind of a shove in the right direction. I would like to read this book so that I can kind of push through my writer's block. Maybe it'll give me some direction so that I can finish one of my many romance novels that I've started writing. I'm going to be reading Romancing the Beat by Gwen Hayes. I'm going to read this. I'm going to take some notes, and maybe later in the year when I have a little bit more time, I can start banging away at my writing. So I'm going to be reading this for my nonfiction pick. Let's go to the next roll. We'll see what happens.
This is roll number 4. And that's a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Science fiction. You know what, guys? I think I'm going to use the reward. I think we have to. Let's roll this. And that's a 1.
This is starting to get dire. I don't know what's going on. Probability is not my friend today. That's okay. Anyway, we're gonna keep moving on. And I actually am excited to get a yellow flower this month because I recently went to Maine with my family on a little weekend trip. And I found a beautiful independent bookstore there. I popped in for a little bit and I actually picked up a poetry collection. So I would really like to prioritize reading this because, spoiler alert, I have a vlog that I'm going to be putting out soon that is me reading this book. And also I'm going to show you some footage of Maine because Maine was beautiful. With that said, I'm going to read The Path to Kindness. This is edited by James Cruz, and this is a collection of multiple different poets. In January, I read a really beautiful poetry collection all about grief and sorrow and death, and it was wonderful. But I think for this month, I want to read something a little bit lighter, a little bit sunnier. So I'm going to read The Path to Kindness. I think this is going to be a good time. It also has deckled edges. Can you see that? Love them. Love a deckled edge. Let's go on. We can do this. Next roll.
All right, roll number 5. Please give me bigger numbers. 17, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
17. Orange flower.
I'm not going to comment at this point. We're just going to keep going. I got an orange flower. And when I get an orange flower, that means I have to read a science fiction novel. I'm going to read Lauren's Barbarian by Ruby Dixon. This book is a continuation of the Ice Planet Barbarian series. It is all about these aliens that live on the planet. Their ancestors crash landed on the planet a long time ago, and they have kind of like a hunter-gatherer tribe thing going on. And one day there's a group of human women who get kidnapped by aliens, and the ship that they're on crash lands onto Not Hoth. I have read in the Ice Planet Barbarian series, I think at this point, like 15 or 16 of the books. So I'm very invested in this plot and this story. And there's a couple more books left in the Ice Planet Barbarian series, but those aren't really about plot. They're more continuations of the women and the Sakui men that we kind of get to know throughout the books. The next series, which is a spin-off of Ice Planet Barbarian, starts with this book. I'm very motivated and invested in this. I'm very excited to know what happens, and I just hope everyone's okay. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. Let's just keep moving forward.
All right, this is roll number 6. That's a 3. 1, 2, 3. Blue.
I'm going to interpret this blue flower prompt, which means I read a classic or a literary fiction novel. I'm going to interpret this very loosely because screw this game. It's not being kind to me, so I'm not going to be kind to it in return. This is a big interpretation of what a classic is. I'm going to read the second Clue mini mystery collection that I have. Now, I think we can all probably argue about what constitutes a classic. I'm going to interpret this as a classic because 1, it's an older book, and 2, Clue is a classic IP. It is a classic thing that is a part of the culture of American society. So I'm counting this because I have to. You're welcome. I am going to read this. I'm going to enjoy it. I will probably film myself while I do it like last time, so stay tuned for that video. If you've watched my channel before, you know what this is. I have deemed these books as a pile of puns for babies, and I stick by that. That's what this is. This is a collection of little mini mysteries, and you're trying to figure out who done it, in what room, with what weapon, because guess what, guys? That's what Clue is. I'm getting angry, and it's not the book's fault, and it's not your fault. It's the game. Let's just go. Let's go. Let's go to the next roll. I'm over this.
Roll number 7. Yes, that is a natural 20.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
20. So close.
We're moving. We're grooving. Let's do this. I'm going to read My Heart as a Chainsaw. I don't even care to explain the prompts anymore. It's a succulent. It's a horror prompt. I'm reading My Heart as a Chainsaw. This is one of the books that was on my 12 books to read in 2022 video. This is a buddy read that I'm going to do with my best friend Mahogany. Mahogany, we're doing it. It's happening. Very quick plot synopsis. There's this chick. She lives in, I think, Wyoming. Anyway, she lives somewhere rural, and she lives in this sleepy little rural town, and a bunch of people keep getting murdered by this serial killer. And our girl, our main character, has watched all the serial killer movies, and so she thinks, ha ha ha, I can figure out what's going on. We are so close to the end. Let's just get this done.
All right, hopefully this is the last roll. Roll number 8.
So we're gonna read In the Study with the Wrench by Diana Peter Freund. I can never say this woman's name. I'm so over this. I'm so over all of this. I think you can tell by the lineup so far that I have tried desperately to be kind to myself because this is ridiculous at this point. The die is out to get me. The game is out to get me. Everyone's out to get me, except you. I know you're not out to get me. Anyway, this is the sequel to In the Hall with the Knife, which is the first of this Clue retelling written specifically for young adults. I have previously done a Clue vlog on this channel that I enjoyed doing immensely. And I don't know if you can tell by the lineup yet, but we're gonna do one again because I have to fill these prompts and these are the best ones that I have on hand. This is a retelling of Clue, both teenagers. It takes place in a elite boarding school in nowhere, Maine. So let's do it. Let's get it done. I am genuinely, listen, this is a bummer of a game, but I am genuinely excited to read these books. So we're gonna call it a win because I have to. On to the last roll because there's only one more space, and unless the die decides to screw me over in some way, we are done at this point. So let's go.
So there's really no point in doing this, but hey, why not? 9. Woohoo. Let's pull our last TBR card. An audiobook.
I have decided to continue on with the Wicked Villain series because I thoroughly enjoyed Learn My Lesson from last month. I'm going to be reading A Worthy Opponent by Katie Robert. This is the next book in a series about retellings of Disney movies, but where the villains are the good guys and the good guys are the not good guys. I'm tired. Can you tell? This is a pairing between Captain Hook and Tinkerbell. So I'm very excited. I thoroughly enjoyed the previous book. It was a big improvement for me from the first book in the series. And I can't wait. So it's this plus an audiobook from my library and 2 Kindle Unlimited books. Well, friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and have a great day. Bye.